Hey guys, welcome to episode 5. This is Adrian Alvarez. I'm Lisa host. Adrian Alvarez is from Indiana, and he creates these really quick but like really concise and really good personal development videos talking about habits, mindset, time management. Thinking more positively. I It's funny how we met. We met recently through Instagram through Jose, which is Jose's from Atlanta. He has his Instagram called, is it the Millennial Money Mentor, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So I met through him, and then I started looking at Adrian's Instagram. I noticed he's very consistent, and he just has a lot of great content, getting people to watch him, and they're just really valuable in my opinion. And but yeah, I want to take it back to how you got started into this, and how did you become so consistent, and was it something that you just woke up one day and you say, what, I just want to start making videos, or what was the reason that made you or pushed you to start making these kind of videos?
So it's funny every time, like I think about why did I even start this? It got to the point where I was making these like this infographic kind of posts, and I wasn't really enjoying it. But the whole reason of making it was to connect with other entrepreneurs because
Hmm.
I talked to a friend before, and he was into it. Like we were doing real estate wholesaling and being an entrepreneur. It was cool, right? But it was just me and him. And then eventually he kind of faded out, did his own thing, which is fine. But I was kind of doing it alone, and there were a lot of times where people just didn't understand, like, why are you doing that? Like, I get it. I went to school, I got this degree, but it doesn't. I just didn't feel like that fulfillment and just kind of going to Chicago and working in an office.
Hmm.
Um, and for a while, I'm like, how can I connect with other entrepreneurs? So I'm like, maybe I can make this page because I follow a lot of guys who make videos and make a community. And I'm like, I could probably do that if I tried.
Yeah.
I wanted to do that too. And I had started listening to like, man, like Tony Robbins, Gary Vee, and all these guys who think really positively, but I think I needed that because man, like just maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, I was really negative and like
Hmm.
insecure about a lot of dumb stuff and like just not. I felt like my mental strength was just weak, man. Like everything would just bother me, and I didn't want to be like that anymore. So I'm thinking maybe I can make a page for entrepreneurs to
Hmm.
connect with them, but I can't just connect with it. I got to give them something. Why would
Right.
they follow? So actually, maybe I could share like my story of going from being negative and kind of always down to maybe the opposite, getting stronger mentally. Because I really do believe that like the power of your mind can change a lot of things. Because you never know. Because I mean, honestly, there's times where you're in a shitty situation, but if you're
Hmm.
mentally strong enough, you get out of that situation. So that was the whole point of the page at first, and obviously I want to tie other things into it, but the main point was just to figure out like what kind of mental state you need to be in to be in entrepreneurship.
Yeah, and how did you learn about just personal development? Was it like through Tony Robbins, or did you start reading some books, or how
Um,
did you where'd you get
I
the
think
ideas to create these content?
I think just following people, like a lot of the
Hmm.
people I follow, I'm like, man, these guys have a huge following, and they're kind of just saying things that I feel you should probably know. Like obviously you don't give up and try hard, but I'm like maybe you could make it more practical for people because after a while you can only hear that so many times. Even though it's very true, you have to keep pushing. You have to do these things. But I'm like, how can I make it more practical? So I like, for example, I made a video about like how people get motivated, but just because you're motivated doesn't necessarily mean you're going to make any big changes. You might be motivated for 10 seconds or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought that was me because I played baseball in college, and
Hmm.
I would want to go work out in the morning, and I would watch some YouTube motivational video before I went to bed.
You would get out
And
there.
yeah, and then I wake up in the morning, I'm like, do I really want to go? So I always thought like, man, I don't think motivation is all you need. I think it gets you started, and then discipline gets you actually consistent.
Hmm.
But I think when we started doing like the cold calls for real estate, um, I don't know. I think I told you about this week. Just bad cold calls. People were kind of getting angry, and I'm like, man, this
Yeah.
is. And then my friend's like, man, I read this book. I watched these people. You should try them out. And I tried them out too. Because I knew about Gary Vee for a while. I just never listened to his podcast and things like that. I just watched the video. But we even went to an event. It was Tony Robbins' event in Chicago that Gary Vee was speaking at. And it's
Mm-hmm.
funny because Tony Robbins, like, when I went there, I like underestimated his like popularity because I get there.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, yeah, man, this guy had this place. It was like Coachella, dude. Like it was crazy.
For Tony Robbins.
Yeah, and I was like, what the hell? And
That's what people.
it's crazy because I went there to watch Gary Vee because Gary Vee was gonna talk,
Mm-hmm.
and I watched Gary Vee. He talks for I don't know 25 minutes, and then Tony Robbins comes out. And he talked so long that I couldn't even stay. Like I had something to do with my family. he was gonna talk. He said we have 8 hours. I was like,
8 hours? Yeah, they're long, dude.
I was like, what? And I'm like, I'm pretty sure this thing said it ended at 4. Like, but yeah, I had to go. But I read more into him. I started watching Tony Robbins more and listening to him, and I thought how important it was to get the mental state like totally fine. Because I was thinking you can look up all this information and get all these business degrees or all this like experience, but if you're not right in the mental space, then a lot of things could probably make or break you. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I'm like, if anything, I want to be strong mentally to withstand whatever kind of obstacles and roadblocks that come in my way because you never know what could come up.
Yeah. What was one thing that really helped you change? You said you were really negative, but what's something practical people can use that you applied that has helped you now, become the
It's
person that
crazy.
you are?
I think it was just a switch, man. It was a switch that made me say, I don't want to be like that anymore. Like I have a friend who, yeah, I guess, yeah, a friend, but
A friend?
I don't want,
Right.
I don't want people to think like, oh
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
this person. But I have a friend who was always very negative and very just bring people down. And
Mm.
if I had good news, it was always like, oh, cool, man. Like kind of like that, like
Yeah, yeah, I know
I don't know,
exactly what you mean.
yeah. And it always made me feel bad about like, man, maybe I shouldn't be proud of this, you know.
Yeah.
And one day it just clicked. I don't know if the person said something in like a text message or something, but something clicked. I went, you know what? I'm tired of like being negative because someone else is negative. It
Right.
felt like it was just rubbing off on me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just one day it just kind of clicked, and I said, you know what? How can I change this? So I started doing like personal development videos and watching them and seeing the mindsets of some successful people I look up to. And I mean, you can make it that simple if you follow someone, not even a popular person like Gary Vee, maybe someone on Instagram, but you can look at their routines and how they think,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like everything's a reason. They are strong mentally because they practice it day in and day out. And for me, I think the thing is you have to decide that if you feel like you're in a space where you're negative or you're not mentally tough, you can change that. Or if you feel like you're out of shape, you could go to the gym. If you feel like you need to learn more knowledge, you read some
Mm-hmm.
books, and like there's always something to better a situation for yourself. You just kind of have to make the decision to do it.
So it's like the decision, but but do you have a routine? And do you have something that, can help, that has helped you and that can help others? Like something, they can
For
start doing
me,
today.
I would say just right away, kind of figure out what you want out of it. Because if you're just like, oh, I need to be strong mentally because Gary Vee is, it's just like it's just not enough
Yeah, it's not gonna work.
information. And for me, I think some of the most successful people I look up to, I look at their routines, stuff like drinking a glass of water when you wake up, slowly but surely, like there's a lot of things that you can do one day, then it kind of compounds and you get more consistent with it and you start feeling better about yourself. But
Even just like
uh,
making your bed. I remember started
yeah,
making my bed 2 years ago. Every single day I make it. To this day I
that's
haven't missed
crazy.
one day, and it's crazy because it's like
Some
the
of the small
first thing is like the first thing you do in the morning is like you start winning. Even it's such small task, and you start feeling successful about yourself.
That's a good point.
Hmm.
That's what I would say. Like, make something that you can do in your daily life, even in the morning, that will feel like, oh, I'm glad I got that done.
Right.
Um, for me, what got me started in a good mindset, I just remembered. I do it all the time, so I kind of like forget about it. But I um, I just have like a small dry erase board. You can probably get a notebook, whatever, something to write on, right? Um, And I would just write 3 things I'm grateful for. I heard that a lot from people.
Mm-hmm.
I said, like, could be simple stuff. But the thing is, I was writing, thankful I'm alive, thankful, like very simple things. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a book called Tools of Titans by Tim Ferriss,
Yeah.
and he talks about not making them so vague and to be very specific, because eventually he says you go on like autopilot mode and you just write them and you're not even like
Thinking
really
about it.
grateful for them. You're just kind of like, oh, whatever, I'm alive, I guess, you know. So if
Because
you make it specific, I would say like I'm grateful that I have my health so I can go to the gym and get in shape, or I'm able to do
very
this.
specific.
Yeah, so I just, stuff like that. I think something small like that, just writing 3 things that you're grateful for when you wake up, gets you in a better kind of like that abundance mindset, where
Mm-hmm.
something small like just being able to drive to work, and you're grateful for that. You might not like the job you're at, but at least you're able to work and get money for yourself. Because not everybody could do that. They
That's
wish
very
they
true.
could, but they can't.
And it definitely changes your way of thinking. Instead of thinking so negative, you start thinking about all the good things in your life, or just even why, you should just be happy and grateful about these things. And but man, you seem one thing I've noticed about you, like, right off the bat when I saw you on Instagram, you seem very consistent and extroverted and pretty out there, creating these videos, but and were you always like this, or or not? Because there's the people that
Nah,
are afraid to like get out there on camera, start talking about whatever they're interested in.
I was the exact opposite, I would say. And it's funny because I was always on baseball teams, so you would think I'd communicate, but
Right?
my team would always be like, he's the quietest person on this team.
Really?
I was thinking about this the other day because a friend said like, "Oh, that's crazy. You make videos. I wouldn't expect that from you." And
Wow.
in my head, I'm like, "Yeah, I guess not." But dude, like all my life, super quiet in the classroom from elementary school to probably college, really. But I think one day I kind of like picked up qualities from friends too. I have a friend who in high school we would all eat lunch together, super quiet. I just kind of eat my lunch, talk to my friends obviously, but anyone else I'm just like, oh, hi, what's up, you know.
Yeah.
But I had a friend who was very outspoken, and he had this kind of like charisma about him that it didn't really matter who came and sat with us or who we were by, he was gonna talk to them. And I always like envied that because I'm like, man, I wish I could just
Hmm.
talk. Why can't I talk?
Hmm.
So I think it was all in my head, thinking, maybe I'll sound dumb, or maybe I'll look dumb on camera, or I don't know what I'm talking about. But I started watching a couple people on Instagram, just like random creators, and kind of asking them like, "Were you always good in front of camera?" And they all told me no. But as you can see from my first video to my latest one, it's only gotten better. I've only I've only improved my speaking skills because I got more comfortable. And I said that makes sense. So for me, or anyone that's trying to make content, I think it's just about practicing, because obviously that first video or first podcast is never going to be the best one, and which is a good thing because it's
Hmm.
only going to get better.
Exactly.
But for me, it's about practicing, being consistent, day in and day out, man. Just
Making
um,
content, making content, right?
yeah. So
Hmm.
like videos and things like that, and sometimes you can just record yourself talking, and you don't have to post it. You kind of just see how you talk and how things flow. And honestly, I was advised to use a script when I made my videos, but that just wasn't working for me. That might work for other people, but I noticed like I would have a piece of paper behind my phone, but you can
Hmm.
tell I was like reading, so I didn't want to do that. But if anything, you gotta write down what you're going to say, so that way you can at least practice it out. But for me, what got me out of my shell was just honestly getting out of my comfort zone. I said one day, you know what, I have to be able to talk to people. I mean, there's no way out of it. Let me
Right.
just practice and hopefully get better. And like, if you see my very first video on Instagram, I think I did it with Snapchat. I don't even know why. I just like recorded Snapchat and saved to the camera roll. And I think honestly because I was kind of like nervous about it, and I'm like, well, it's not great quality, so they can't really see me anyway, stuff like that. So
Yeah. um, I was gonna ask you, but did you start right away, like doing videos, or did you start networking first and talking to people and practicing in person first? Because for me, I remember I was in college. I used to be, really, really introverted. Didn't really like talking to people, networking, or and much less making any kind of video. So yeah, so actually what I got into first was body language. I started reading about how, the way that you sit, the way that you
Yeah.
walk, it affects your how you feel and how you think about yourself. So I started, opening myself more, not crossing my arms when I felt nervous. I realized that I would, when I would be around groups of you, I would kind of close up physically. So then I
Mhm.
stopped doing that and I started opening my arms up, kind of showing them. And slowly but surely, it just started becoming natural and just part of who I am, and that helped me to start talking to people and networking people. But yeah, it's always with me. It was going to networking events, just or even just anything in any situation that I could talk to someone. I would do it just to practice and practice and practice. And with videos, yeah, I agree. Dude, I also started uploading videos on just like my YouTube channel, and I at that point I was like, you know what, no one's really gonna watch them anyway. And if someone does, like, oh, who cares, And then the second thing I did, I started putting them on my Twitter. I was like, well, I only got like 10 followers on there. If
Mhm.
they will see it, cool. And then just eventually that, led to putting them on Instagram and then Facebook. Yeah, that's kind of how I got into it. And yeah, yeah, you were saying something, dude?
Well, do you think that the networking beforehand helped you out rather than just going, all right, I'm gonna just upload it to Twitter, I'm gonna just upload it to Facebook, or do you think, it didn't really matter whether you uploaded it to Facebook first or Twitter first, or because I feel like the networking events for me, I get more nervous at those because like I'm in person, but if
Mm.
I upload something to Instagram, my head and my thoughts in my head are like, well, they can't physically tell me anything, so
Ah, okay.
I don't know.
I never thought about that. I guess I started in person. And like you had that friend that was very charismatic. I've always had a friend that was just like that, and I admired that about him. So and I wanted to learn how to be more like him. So I started looking into that, reading more about it. And I just I'm not, I don't think necessarily I'm like the most charismatic person, but I definitely learned a thing or two about him and just about charisma in general. And but I think, yeah, definitely doing it in person just it gave me that confidence to just do it, on video. But definitely there's it has to be like a mind shift, like it's hard to explain, but I think it was actually harder to start posting on Instagram and on video because everyone could see you and
That's
they could
true.
see you over and over and over again. And then they could share it and then there's so many things you could do
That's
online.
a good point.
But in person it's just like just one on one, and I
Yeah.
like to just make these connections in person that just seem more intimate, more real. And yeah, so that's my thought on that.
Because that's something I've been like trying to get better at too. Because I went to I wouldn't say a bunch of networking events, just a few. And did you go to these alone, or you went with a friend, or?
I would go to alone, like some Toastmasters,
Okay,
Rotary,
okay.
Rotaract, just a few like that. And then while I was in Colombia, there's so many just networking events for like digital nomads. Just start talking to people there
Yeah.
about their businesses, what they're doing out here. Just I mean, and I think when you're abroad, like you feel this pressure to even go out more because you don't know anyone. So
Hmm.
that definitely helps. Here, when you're home, you're just you have your friends. You don't really need to go out as much because you don't need to create this like social environment as much. But when you're out abroad, you kind of forced to do that. Um, but yeah, man, that's
I mean,
how.
I give you way more credit, man. Because like, for me, I feel it's easier for me just to post, and I could just delete Instagram if I wanted to. But
No
but
one
but
can ever find you. Yeah.
okay. For me, that networking event I went to recently, there were like clicks, real estate agents and insurance
Mm.
agents and brokers, and I'm over here thinking, like, does anyone have Instagram? Like, you guys to follow me? Like, it was not what I expected. So,
Right.
that's what kind of sucked about it because I went to this networking event thinking it was. I'm not to downplay their success, but I was thinking entrepreneurs who really built a business from nothing, but most of it was real estate agents and insurance agents, that worked for a broker or, you know,
Right.
um, and nothing towards them. I just thought it was going to be someone who invented some, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, So when I went there was a lot of clicks, and I really had like nothing to talk about. Like I did not like real estate that much anymore. So I'm thinking, what do I talk about? So but the one before that, me and my friend at the time, we were cold calling. We were talking to a lot of people, and it felt easier because I was with someone. But for you to say that you went alone and you talked, like I give you big time credit, man. Because like I said, people can go there with their whole family and still not talk to anybody, but you went alone and you talk to people, that's tough.
Yeah, no, I mean, it definitely, like I said, if you would have known me, dude, man, like I said, my whole life, just like you didn't really talk to anyone, didn't,
Mhm.
I mean, I had my friends, but I wasn't outgoing at all, wasn't considered that kind of person. If any people now probably think, are probably kind of puzzled as to why I'm posting, and, just being out there so much. Yeah, man, I want to ask you, like, what was, out of all those things, like, would you say, what was the hardest thing to do, to get to where you're at today? Was it just, that, like, that click, or or was it, something that, happened?
Um, I think at one point or another, I felt I wanted to make something that was like mine, like not work for someone, obviously, but everyone could say, "Oh, I want to be my own boss," and yeah, that's cool. But I wanted to do something that was worth something, and I've talked about this before, where you can have the money and the cars and all this stuff, which is cool. And like no doubt I would like to have like my dream car and dream house, of course. But I started thinking, well, if I were like, it sounds kind of like dark, but I'm like, if I were to die, I would want people to be like, man, that guy helped a lot of people, or try to do well for people, rather
Hmm.
than, man, that dude had a badass car. So um
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
met some really good people, like teachers and just like professors, and even like fellow classmates from like, man, this, like I know a girl who is almost legally blind, but she just wrote her first children's book and stuff like
Mm,
that. I'm like, man, that's really cool because maybe a year ago she was telling me about it, and now she's at Barnes and Nobles doing like book signings, and I'm like, that's, and
really?
all because she
Hmm.
said one day, this is what I want to do, this I'm gonna do it. And I think I made the decision of, man, I'm gonna make this page. I know there's going to be bad days and good days, but how I overcome those is going to help me, keep going. And I think one day it just clicked where I'm like, man, if all these other people on Instagram could share this information and grow, and not necessarily they're doing it just for money, but they feel they can help, then I'm like, I can probably help somehow. But I also say on like my Instagram that I'm not like a professional marketer. So I went to school for marketing, so I know my marketing stuff, but I'm not gonna be like, hey guys, I can double your money in 2 weeks. Um,
Yeah.
so for me, I think it was just about being consistent and putting in work that I actually like doing. Because someone told me like, I like how consistent you are with your videos, and like how are you so consistent.
Right.
And for a while, I think the page, I made the page, and I told myself, okay, I'm gonna make this page. I don't know what I'm gonna post, but I'll just try it. And I would post maybe like once a week, and it just wasn't doing it. And I started looking up other ways to grow the Instagram and things like that. And a funny story, I actually had another Instagram maybe like a year and a half ago,
Oh, really?
called, it was called Life Reviews, and
Okay.
it was me taking pictures of stuff I ate and drank and saying, this is a pretty good meal, and
Okay.
and it's funny because I'm like, why did I do that? Like, that was just no, there's no point to that. There's no value for anybody. Like,
Hmm.
and but to bounce off the go further into the question, it was just about making something that was mine that I can also say like, hopefully it helps other people. Because one of the coolest things I've gotten is just people saying like, hey, I tried something you told me, and it's really worked out for me. Thanks. And
Hmm.
something as simple as that, it was just like, okay, I'm glad it worked. That's,
It, it
I mean,
it's
that's
worth
really all I cared about, was like,
it's
okay,
worthwhile doing.
if I can help one person a day, I feel the Instagram is doing its job. Hopefully
Hmm.
more people eventually, but slowly but
Yeah.
surely.
And at this point, I watched one of your videos. It's called "Stop Preventing Your Growth." Would you
Hmm.
say now that your comfort zone has, it's stretched out? Do you feel like now you could almost, well, do anything if you really wanted to? I mean, I feel like, obviously you have to put in the work, you have to learn the skills, but I feel like as of today, I feel like I could do almost anything. Obviously, you have to read, you have to do all the work. But now I feel like just because I have it's just really just confidence that if I want to do something, I'll find a way to do it. You know,
Yeah, big time. Because I was thinking, for the longest time, man, I was trying to my dream, my goal was to be a professional baseball player, and the
nice.
odds of that are like a billion to one, But I was still trying, and I was still waking up early, and I thought if I could do all that with no guarantee, then I could probably do this too. And
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, it's like you never know what could work. You never know who could glance at your Instagram or glance at your LinkedIn and see what you shared and say, hey, I like even you being able to invite me on here. Like there's just opportunities for people to meet and connect, and
Hmm.
this very conversation right now wouldn't have happened if I didn't get out of my comfort zone. So um, when I say like preventing your own growth, I hear people say like, oh, I want new things to happen and this and that. I can't wait for the new year, but they do the same stuff. And I'm thinking like, how are you gonna progress if you're still doing the same thing? And
Yeah.
lately I've been thinking more about even doing simple things like going out with friends, or you know things that I feel, man, is this really worth my time?
Right.
I've been like more dissecting what's worth it. And I usually tell myself if I'm going to do something and it's not improving me somehow, I probably won't want to do it.
Right.
Just um, honestly, like a random story, but a couple years ago, I still have a PS4. Don't play it as often, but um, I would play like Grand Theft Auto for like hours, and now I'm like, man, I'm feel like I'm wasting so much time right now. And it's just like simple things like that. You cut
Yeah.
habits out, and you might be comfortable chilling and watching Netflix, but sometimes I get that feeling of like I've been watching too much. Like I gotta stop. Just it's kind of like getting new habits that you're
Hmm.
not comfortable with, but eventually you get comfortable with them because you're just trying to do new and better things.
Right. And I to add on to that, I think you need to get better at saying no to people, no to things. Or else you just always say. I mean, obviously you need to say yes to the good things, but no to the things that aren't really going to bring you value, and in particular that are aligned with what you want to do. Um, like I guess for me, like I feel like when I'm back in the States, it's definitely a different lifestyle for me. For the most part, a lot of my friends that I grew up with, are living their life, doing whatever they, you know, getting married, going up the traditional like career path, and that's great. I'm happy for them, but for me, my I need to be for what I want. I need to be networking. I need to be building something. I need to be connecting with like-minded entrepreneurs, people that want to create things. It's a different, when you're not so much consuming anymore and you're creating. And honestly, I love creating more than I like consuming. I don't really care so much to buy things. And I was gonna ask you, like, how important has it been for you to, you know, make new friends, basically make new friends and connect with people that share common things? Has that helped you?
Oh man, I was just gonna say how encouraging it is. So like I like all my friends. They're all cool people, But yeah, like you said, they're getting married, they're having kids, have multiple kids, like been married for years, and
Right.
I'm 25, and I'm like, yeah, I guess it's about that time. I'm not even like I used to be. Oh man, so and so is having a baby. That's crazy. But when you think about it, I'm like, okay, I am 25 though, so thinking I'm young still. But like talking to this stuff with people who aren't in the field, like again, like no offense to them, but sometimes I feel like you just don't get it. Like, and sometimes they're like, why are you doing this page? Or like, why? Like, and that's the
Mhm.
thing. Like, I don't know. I have like 700 followers, right? And they're like, is it working? I'm like, I don't know, but I hope so. Like, that's the point. You just keep putting in the work and seeing the results. But
Yeah,
when I first start, when I
and
first started, they're like, "Why are you doing that?" And it's funny because um yesterday I was listening to David Goggins, and because I just got his book on Audible called like Can't Hurt Me, and I was watching a video about him.
mhm,
He talked about how one day he was jogging outside, I don't know where, maybe in California, and it was 95 degrees and humidity was crazy.
mm.
And he said a car drove next to him and said like, "Why are you out here?" And he told him, "Because you're not." And I thought that was just the coolest thing. Somebody's got to put in the work, and
Right.
uh, and I thought that too. I'm like, people ask me, "Why are you? What do you get out of this?" And I feel like, well, someone's got to do it, right? Like if I'm capable of helping people and I'm not doing it, I feel I'm being selfish.
Hmm.
And it's just like small things that you pick up on. And but like in terms of like people encouraging me, like you and Jose and people I've met on here, just like they're grinding too and they're building something too. And I kind of started getting out of the habit of watching what other people were doing, just focus on
Mm.
what I'm doing, and
Right.
if I do need help, reach out to other people. But in terms of like being people or being around people who are like-minded, even on Facebook, I like deleted a lot of people who just weren't putting anything out there that was beneficial to me. They're just sharing dumb stuff, Um, and then like my DMs are filled with people who I reached out to or reached out to me, and whatever niche they're in, sales, finance, or making podcasts or whatever it is, there's still an entrepreneur who is trying to make something out of nothing, and it's
Hmm.
only encouraging me because whether they just started or they've been doing it for years, it could show like I could at least teach maybe someone who just started, and then I can also learn from someone who's been doing it for years. But
Exactly.
like I agree with you. It's encouraging to be around the like-minded people because I mean sometimes it gets like lonely, man. You're like, is this working? Or no one really gets why I'm doing this. And
Hmm.
I mean it happens. Family and friends, I don't think it's a bad thing that they don't get it, but you kind of got to get it from their standpoint. Maybe they're not used to seeing someone do that. They're used to seeing someone, go to school, graduate, get the job, and that's it. But it doesn't necessarily have to be like that.
Yeah, no, no, I completely know what you, what you mean. You know, my family, for example, just starting with them, and then just friends, just people that you grew up with. It's very hard. I think we're supposed to change them. You know, I think that's or even try to convince them. I just stopped at this point. It's just if they learn a thing, if they learn something from me, great. If they don't, well, it's awesome. They're still happy. So but there are people that like I saw your page and I was like, hey man, I really like what you're doing. There may be less people in like within your like group of friends or like community that understand you, but there are people when you go online. There's some people that think alike and that want to do the
Mhm.
same things and yeah, and then I encourage you if you ever get a chance just to travel to like these major cities like Medellin, Mexico City, Chiang Mai. You'll meet people that are just crushing it and doing awesome things, marketers, all sorts of people online. Made a lot of friends while being in Colombia.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, if you get a chance, yeah, definitely, definitely,
Yeah,
definitely.
I saw your can you hear me? Well,
Yeah, I can hear
okay. I saw your Instagram, like your stories, and I'm like, God, this dude's been everywhere.
you.
That's pretty cool. Funny story, dude. I've never been on a plane. I
Really? Just in general?
in
Not
general,
even like okay. Wow.
yeah, like never. The farthest place and it's not because I didn't want to. It's just I
Mhm.
don't know. We never went on vacations, and then like summertime, I play baseball, so I'm here.
Right.
Um, but like in terms of like traveling, that's why I'm like I see these events happening in like other places. I'm like, oh, that'd be
In
cool to go.
Vegas,
Yeah, yeah.
Miami.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
man. And I've only every time I've left my city to like Pittsburgh, our road trip for the baseball game, or I went to Florida, but we went there on a bus and it was for baseball, and like we didn't really get to enjoy because we went there for 6 days, but we had 7 games, so we never had a break. And I'm thinking like, man, every time I was in a new environment, though, it felt good. Just to see new things and new people, and that's another thing, getting out of your comfort zone. You wouldn't be able to do that unless you left. So,
Yeah, man. It expands your mind
all big time, yeah.
for sure. And yeah, man. I have a final question for you. What with the page and everything that you're doing. What is something that if let's say once you create this like huge, I guess business, whatever, not necessarily huge, but impactful. What is something that at the end of the day you just want to be remembered for?
So I've tried my best to, because I back in my mind I'm thinking, okay, I got a degree in marketing. How do I tie that into there? But um, in my head I'm like, well, I'm doing my own marketing, so I guess I don't have to teach people how to do it, whatever. But um, eventually I would like for people to kind of have the Instagram to get to where they're like, all right, I'm just not in my right mental space right now. Maybe if
Mm-hmm.
I check out Adrian's page, there's some tips there. Networking, because I talk about networking, public speaking. I think I talked about marketing here or there on some stories, but nothing in depth. And then I think the most important is that personal development. And I feel a lot of people don't have that confidence in themselves because they don't see themselves as a fit person or a
Right.
smart person. But like me, I didn't see myself as a person making videos, but it's about kind of making the decision of what do you want to do. If you want to talk in front of camera, you got to get better at it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I think for the page, it would be somewhere where entrepreneurs can at least connect with me and kind of see the journey from. That's why I wanted to make it from step one to whatever the end would be,
Right.
because I feel a lot of pages just show all the money they've made and never like the time they went bankrupt, you know. Like,
Exactly.
and I think it's hard to relate to someone who is just already on top and he's never failed and he's never shown it. So that's why, like, even on stories sometimes, on my story I'll talk about today kind of sucks because this happened or this happened or
Right.
whatever.
It's
But
like documenting.
yeah, just because I feel like documenting the journey helps out a lot of people because they see, oh, okay, he's going through the same shit, you know.
Same
Um,
thing.
but yeah,
It's not as as nice as it appears. Like, you know.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But there are many nights where I'm like even making the video where I have to do like 20 takes because I keep messing up a word or saying something dumb, and I'm like, I can't do it now.
Like, I'm
um,
done, man. I'm done.
yeah, and but in all honesty, I don't think I'm 100% sure how I would want the page to be remembered. But for now, I just want to keep growing and connecting with people. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's really cool that people on social media can connect with you from all over the world, man. Like, I think it's pretty wild. But for me, I would just like to. I watched another entrepreneur who runs like a similar business, and she had said her goal is to get one thank you note a day. And I thought that's pretty cool. And I'm like, if I can help one person a day, I'll focus on that. And then eventually, you know, I don't want to keep my
Mm.
eyes on the finish line yet, but eventually, you know, once a day, help somebody out. So, you know.
Right. Yeah. So, Adrian, where can people find you at? You know, where can they reach out to you? They like what you do. If you know they just want to connect, you know, want to see what you're up to.
So like you said, I have the Instagram. The Instagram is adrian.michael3. Also, I've been on LinkedIn. I've been posting some content on there just because people are setting out the really good organic reach platform. So I've been trying
Mm-hmm.
that out. But just my name, Adrian Alvarez. But if you look up adrian.michael3 on Instagram, I'm sure I'll come up. And then just, if anything, shoot me a DM. People shoot me DMs all the time. Not like I'm cool kind of way, but
Get
just to
100
connect, you know?
DMs
Yeah, yeah.
at every hour.
No, but I'm always more than happy to connect with other people. Even like I said, even if we're not in the same niche, even if you don't
Mm-hmm.
like marketing or if you're in real estate, I'm not, or if you're in sales and I'm not, still both entrepreneurs, both people who need that good mental mindset, you know, to get to where they're trying to get to. And
Mm-hmm.
if I could help in any way, I'm more than happy to do it, you know.
Cool. And you also have a podcast, right?
Oh yeah,
How do,
the
how,
podcast
how can
too.
people reach the podcast?
The podcast is on Apple and Spotify. It's called the Adrian Alvarez Podcast. I'm sure I'll come up with a cooler name, but I didn't want not having a cool name to stop me from making it, you know. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna do that. But yep, it's the Adrian Alvarez Podcast on Apple and Spotify.
Mm-hmm.
It's on other streaming channels, but I looked at my insights and people only listen to it on those two. So
Okay.
yeah, so there you go.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate, man, you being on the show, Adrian, and I'm sure we'll have another one at some point.
Yeah, of course, Luis, and thank you so much for even reaching out to me and considering me this for this episode, man. It was so enlightening, man, to meet other like-minded people and people doing what they want to do, and just like looking at that journey and connecting, man, from anywhere in the world. You know, I gotta love social media.
Mm-hmm. That me too. I love that online,
Yeah,
man. Game changed the game for me.
yeah, big time for me too.
Yeah, man. All right, man.
All right, you take care.
You too.